Hello everyone, welcome to my very first video on this channel. I've been a Splatoon player for a while now and the weapons look really stylish and cool, so I decided to make some myself. I chose the Splattershock Junior, which is one of the starter weapons in the game, and I thought it would be a good starting point for a series of tutorials I am planning to make. To follow along, my pattern is available on my Gumroad, the link will be in the description. And with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. So, the first phase consists of putting together the base of the weapon, starting with these pieces. Make sure to cut the pieces with the necessary bevel cuts. If you're not sure about the types of bevel cuts, I will try to link a video in the top right corner so that you can have a better look. Just to be clear, I'm using EVA foam, not cardboard, of 6mm of thickness, although it won't be a problem if you use a slightly thicker or thinner foam. The color of the foam doesn't matter either, since we're going to paint over it at the end. The glue I'm using is called Durabond, although Westerners will probably find it easier to find contact cement at the local hardware store or online. How to apply the glue will differ with respect to the glue you're using, so be sure to check how to use it. Here, I'm going to add piece 6A and 6B on both sides, making sure to always stick the pieces together along the bevel cuts. For a sturdy handle, you're going to need a solid support. So in the handle, you're going to need to cut a slot for your support to fit snugly in. Your support can be a dowel. I used a piece of wood, but anything solid and long and sturdy should be suitable. Not too big, not too small, just sturdy. Position the support around the middle of one of the part 10s and trace round it to get a feel of where exactly you want it to be positioned. Next, take the necessary measurements to draw the lines in the exact same position on the other part 10s. Make sure you leave 2 of them uncut, which will be used for the outermost layers of the handle. Once you're done, stick all the pieces together with your glue, making sure the edges of all the pieces are properly aligned so that the handle is smooth. We want the support to stick to the top of the weapon, so we will need to measure the length of our support by adding the length of the cut slit in the handle to the length of the side of the weapon. Cut a hole in the bottom of the weapon, which is piece 8. That should be the same size as the base of the support. We will stick the handle on using this hole later on. Finish up the rest of the body and glue piece 5 on the top. I cut some holes in some scrap foam and stuck them to the top of the weapon on the inside. This will add stability to the top of the support when its end is stuck to the top. Finish off the handle and glue everything together. Now that the body is done, we can move on to the head, which is relatively easy. Make sure you glue the top and bottom edges of the body to the shorter edges of the head, while the body's side edges should connect to the longer edges of the head. So we're finally done with the base. Now we can move on to the details. Here are the parts which make up the details of the top of the weapon. Unfortunately, I had already glued together some parts, but it should be easy to follow with these illustrations I made. For part 11, you just need to glue them in pairs for added thickness. end bit of part 16 is too long, you can simply cut it down to size. Don't cut it too short though, otherwise you won't be able to stick to the parts on either side. For the side details, you will just need to use a photo of the Splattershot Junior for reference. It would be preferable to test the positioning and spacing between the parts before you actually glue them on. the details on the head, we follow the same principle. Use an actual picture of the Splattershot Junior for reference and test out the spacing before actually sticking them on. For part 12B, make sure that when you stick them on, they are fully aligned at the edges to avoid having a lumpy handle. There's a piece of footage I left out. The nozzle of the Splattershot is made up of parts 18, 17 and 25. Simply glue them together using this illustration. When you're done, glue them onto the head of the weapon, piece 9. I also forgot to add piece 26 before I started painting, so make sure you do that before moving on to the painting stage. Also, the trigger was made up of some rectangular strap foam, which I stuck to the bottom after painting, attached to a piece of wood stuck to the handle to attach it to the handle. There weren't really any measurements done here, so feel free to customize the trigger how you want. This is optional, but before painting, smoothen out the edges with Dremel and fill the open edges if you have the necessary material to do so. Prime the foam for painting with either Plasti-Dip, white glue or any other alternatives, and then you're good to go. Here's the final result. I think it came out pretty well. I hope yours comes out well too. I plan to do the classic splatter shot next, but if there are some other weapons you'd like to see after that, leave a comment down below. If you like the video, leave a like and why not subscribe? Take care and I'll see you in the next one.